Alrighty, guys, it is 3:30. Time to wrap it up this Wednesday, March 3rd. And so far, nice little rally going on here in the latter part of the day. Sorry, I missed the 10:30 update or 10:30, the one, yeah, one, no, 1:30 update Eastern. But man, I was sitting here watching this and uh, yeah, it's 2 o'clock at this rally, trying to figure out what to do with it. And now I just got freaking high ticked on a NASDAQ trade. This is so frustrating. I'm going to show you that in a second. But at this point, looking at the ES, nice little move to the upside. So we were kind of weak in the morning. Um, Tariff threat going back and forth. There was some relief on the car side, but back and forth they went. Pretty weak. The news this morning was pretty good, but overall they had a fair amount of weakness going into the afternoon after the London close. They were done. The buying interest started. Looks to me this is the second day now we're getting this buying interest. We haven't extended to the downside. We are getting some buying interest, and I would be hopeful that we're entering stage two now in the profile. So twice we got some late in the day buying interest, and that's not a bad sign at all. So we'll take that any time of the day. But at this point, I would start off from the long side, and if they can hold above the 58.45 level. So these two resistance areas on the way up, the 35s and the 45s. I was looking at those and thinking that, yeah, that's better, that's pretty good resistance. But then when they blew through those, thinking long side of the market after that. So in K period in 2 o'clock, they remember what was that? They started this rally here in the 2 o'clock hour K period. They started taking this higher, and start taking out these areas of resistance. And now they are definitely above it and holding. So starting off from the long side, going into the overnight, looking to buy against the 45s and the 35s. So rotations back up again. And let's see how far they can take it. So at this point, that's kind of where we are on the ES. So let's see if this one holds. This is the second day now where we have strength going into the close, at least for now. Even if you get a little bit of selling going into the very close, a nice little buying dynamic going on throughout the second part of the day. So that's interesting. That's the bargain hunting going on. So we'll see. Twice that has happened now, and we are so far it had not extended to the downside. So we're entering stage two, even if it's a pretty wide one. And then let's see if they can extend these going into tomorrow or into the overnight. So that's how we get started on the ES. Not going to be super aggressive on the short side, but we do have short opportunities against the 58.60s and the 58.75s. Rotations back down again. So we'll see. They kind of had to clear a few more areas before we really get excited about it. Remember, we're right up here against that 75.80 area of 58.80s and the 5900s. So this is the area which you need to get through if we're going to have a shot at really turning the tide. So this is still just a reverse retest. So we're looking for that early strength going into the overnight and see how far they can take it. Looking at our NASDAQ and the bond market is still to the downside, so a little bit of weakness there. Definitely looking like an interesting dynamic. If it's a rotating out of safety, I would say, back into equity. So that's probably what's happening there. So definitely a nice little move to the nice little move on the bonds to the downside. Sorry, that's something popped up here on the side. Anyway, so at this point, starting off from the short side on the bonds, looking to sell strength up to that mean, the 1724s. So up to that level, to 24s, for rotations back down. So if they can take out this low volume area, we're going to be right back to this attractor at the 168. At the 168.08, 6160 and 1608 level. That's your attractor on the downside. So we'll see if this turns into something bigger here. But looks to me like the flight out of safety is kind of working. On the NASDAQ, and this is, I had to say, this sucks, man. This kind of not quite what I wanted to have happen, but I was in this, I was hopped on the short trade here, looking at this big move to the downside, and figured I had a good shot at running it all the way down to the 590s. So I got in on the short trade here. And this is how I messed that thing up. So my stop was halfway up, so I was going to move my stop a little bit. And this went to break even and moved my stop under me. And so when I dropped it, I just changed it. So suddenly I was in a spot that like, oh crap, I screwed up my stop. Otherwise, I would have been out of that with a break even trade. But I ended up saying, okay, shit, so I was stuck in it. It ran back up again. So I tried to get out of it. repaired it once, and look at it, freaking guys high-ticked me and then a little bit. And then they ran back, and here's your scratch right there. So it's like, oh, bullshit. So I'm still thinking, okay, they fall not quite falling out of bed, but I'm not quite sure they're going to rally either. So I'm still looking maybe for a little bit of weakness into back to that mode. Either that, or if they start taking out this high, they start taking out this rotation at this 695, we may see a nice move to the upside going into the close. We'll see how this end period develops, but that trade is going to happen at 12:45, 12:50 late in the session, depending on which side if you're going to see some profit taking going into the close, which is probably the more likely one, or we're going to see like a little rally into the close. I doubt we see that, but that could happen. Could certainly happen. So. We'll see, but that sucked. That was a $150 loser right there. She like absolutely sucked. So that's it. And that's just because I had fat fingers and was messing with that stop at the time. So there you go. Sometimes you just get not quite work out for you. And then finally, oil and gold. So anyway, so trade the Nasdaq from the long side as well. If I didn't say that, look to buy weakness on the Nasdaq as well for rotations back up. That's kind of where I'm coming down on this thing. So we'll see how far they can take this one. All right. Then finally, the oil and gold, so gold, range-bound gold at this point. Look to me that we have they kind of right back up here. Still reverse retesting this area. Well, let me see here. No, they did not reverse retesting. This is a different one. So they're still in this range. It's going sideways. So I would just start off range bound, looking to sell up to that 29.40s, looking to buy down to the 29.05s, and let's see what side they're going to trade on. So start off range bound on gold going into the overnight. I have not traded gold today. I just took that Nasdaq trade, which turned into be a dud. And then finally, oil to the downside. Big move to the downside on oil. Now they're retracing it. They're all the way down here to 65. So this is a good move. This means that oil is just, they are taking out support. Now they're reverse retesting this area. So that would be a pretty good spot for us to look for a short setup for rotations back down. So traders on the short side, if they trade up above the 67.50s, I would say 67.50s, these two resistance areas, probably take off the short buys and go back range bound. So looking for shorts against the 66.70s. 66.20s, 67.20s and 67.50s for rotations back down again. All right, so that's kind of where we're at on this. So, all right, back to the ES. And at this point, looking like we have a kind of holding pattern here. We'll see what side, if they're going to get a rally or if they're going to freaking sell off here into the close. So anyone's guess. At this point, we just have to wait and see. If they start heading lower, it could be a nice short trade in there. If they start popping to the upside, it could be a nice long trade, go with type of trade. So you had to make your call, see what side, just keep a tight stop in case they start running this higher. So either way you do it, you have to have a fairly tight stop so you don't get caught in it. I just managed to get myself caught in a shitty trade, and that just kind of paid for it. So that's where we are. Alrighty, guys. Leave it there for now. Now, news for tomorrow morning before I go. The news, this is Thursday. We got the international trade, jobless claims, productivity, all at 8:30. And that's about it. The nat gas report at 10:30. So all news tomorrow is at 8:30. And then we have the employment situation on Friday. So that's what we got to work with. Alrighty, guys. We'll leave it there for now. And I'll see you guys back at bright and early in the morning. So I had a pretty good day going until this freaking last trade. That kind of sucked. It's just fat finger trade, That has to happen like in a volatile day like that, and then no shot of getting out of it. So it sucked. Anyway, we'll leave it there, and I'll see you back at bright and early in the morning. You guys have a good evening. Later.